the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria, and the Consul General of Nigeria in Johannesburg are already in the process of undertaking a head count of our nationals in South Africa. And although the process may be daunting, its success is expected to provide a pedestal for possible diaspora voting, among other uses as envisaged by INEC. While we relish our means, I also wish to call on the Nigerian Union and other stakeholders to feel free to interact with Professor Simbine and her team, particularly as Nigeria plans towards diaspora voting in the foreseeable future.
We know that a pressing issue that some of you may like to speak about relates to diaspora voting. We will welcome questions. But just to summarize and say that the Commission is already looking at the issue. We are trying to be proactive in assessing what the possibilities are, what the issues may be. Suffice to say that the first place to start is to have a database. And the Consul General has alluded to that.
I'm not being pessimistic, but I believe that we may not be able to vote in 2019. But can we have a center that those of us in diaspora, instead of traveling home twice, wherein we can actually register for our PVC in our country of residence, say the Nigerian mission, wherein you can only register to get your PVC, but when it's time to vote, you have to go home. Because some of us, we have to go home, register, and come back, and when it's the election, we go home again. Thank you.
It must stop at some point before the elections, because you can't continue registering people when you want to use one register. So it must stop. And I think it's going to stop 60 days before to the elections. Okay, so if you count back, we already all know the date for the first election. If you count back, so we're looking at the end of this year, the end of November. Okay, end of November, a little bit into December. Let's say mid-December, okay? That's 2 months to the election. So that is when it is expected to end. And I believe that even after the elections, it's going to continue. I want us to know that this is the first time ever in Nigeria that we are having continuous voter registration. Previously, we do registration when we want to have an election. For instance, we want to do Ekiti governorship election. We take the registration to Ekiti State. We do it until a few days to the election. But now it's continuous. So there's opportunity for people to go out and register. Somebody asked what advice we can give to the diaspora with regards to this issue of registration and voting. It's like I said, it's not our place to give you advice. If we don't have more responsibility to be nice, but if we have additional responsibility and resources, we have no choice but to carry out the mandate of our office. But you don't get what you don't ask for. You are the people in diaspora. You are the people to push for diaspora voting.
INEC has said they formed a committee that was looking at diaspora voting because they believe that any time the government could call on them for diaspora voting to take place. They don't think it would take place in 2019. But obviously it will be sometime in the future, probably the next election after the 2019 election. And INEC has said that there was a lot of call for Nigerians all over the world that wanted to see diaspora voting. So it wasn't a lost cause. They've also given us ahead to say, look, Nigerians and diaspora should put in more pressure on the government to see that this is actualized also on the National Assembly, which we are doing on all different fronts. INEC has also indicated that they will work with the Nigerian consulate to see that Nigerians can also register to vote for the next election in diaspora.
Now, what I got from INEC was that they were very sympathetic to people in diaspora voting in 2019. They were also very sympathetic to the idea that Nigerians in diaspora contribute immensely to the socio-economic development of Nigeria, given that $35 billion is the annual contribution that is sent back to Nigeria. But the sense I got on the day was that their hands are tied because they don't make the law, so Parliament will have to enact the law, but also they have very meager resources. She talked about presenting a budget and getting an envelope back. We give them a budget, they give us an envelope. So that was very powerful. But what we are not afraid of is the challenge. We know that it's not going to happen overnight, like dual nationality that was granted under General Abacha. I believe that diaspora voting is the right thing to do because too many Nigerians are committing crimes in faraway places because they don't feel part of Nigeria. They think Nigeria is a joke. They think Nigeria has failed them. They think our leaders are selfish. And the only way that we can, as Nigerians in diaspora, claim back our rights and our power in a democracy, since we can't plan a coup, like what happened in Zimbabwe, is to vote. And once we vote, we will feel part of the process of our democracy and we'll feel that we're part of a more egalitarian, equality society.
Look, the journey will be continuous. The struggle of human beings, it doesn't stop because of one thing. Our struggle will be a continuous one. What we understand is that, first of all, if the country, we remit so much to our country as in diaspora, we've chosen South Africa or living out of Nigeria as a country which is being recognized. And many of us are living here as Nigerians, not as South Africans or any other nation. But as Nigerians, we believe that we should be able to speak about our leadership in our country. We should be able to contribute in terms of politically in our country. And look, I'm so proud on the number of people that are showing interest in the diaspora community to talk about our government, our leadership, and contribute to it. Even people now trying to, diasporans more coming out in numbers to run for office in Nigeria.